All right, guys, thanks for showing up to this month's Tacoma Pints and Properties. Obviously, this room is a really special place. I'm super stoked and happy to have you guys here. We got a couple new faces, so I'm going to go through an introduction. Sometimes I skip the introduction when we just have regulars in the room, but I want to give everybody a chance to introduce themselves and really kind of set the groundwork of what this room is. So this is a pretty special place. So real quick, everybody that's in this room, did everybody sign in? And the only reason that I ask is because it's super helpful for me. I host the event. I got to coordinate how big of a room we're going to get. I don't solicit anybody. All I do is send out a text reminder the day before, and I send out an email of what the topic is. That's all you're going to get from me. Here we go. What is Pints and Properties? Who are we, and are you in the right room? Why are you in the right room? So Pints and Properties, just simply put, is a community of motivated individuals who want to live epic lives. We believe in the synergy of open source information and are committed to connecting relationships that we believe will deliver exponential results. Simply put, guys, we're here to collaborate, cross-pollinate, put our heads together, create synergy, have open source information. Nobody here is gatekeeping. Nobody here is like building little secret kingdoms. We come together to collaborate, to share what we're doing, to teach each other what we're learning, to give each other insight into all of us getting to the next level together. Simply put, guys, we just want to live the best lives possible using strategies that are available to us and using the information that all of us collectively as a group aggregate, come together, and share. I guarantee you that there is not a single problem in this room that we cannot solve from somebody sitting in this room. You need a plumber. Somebody in this room probably has one. You're dealing with a title issue that you've never seen before on an acquisition. I promise you, if you bring it to this group, it's probably going to get solved. And my encouragement to you is to take full advantage of this proximity. This presentation, my friend Nick here, he's going to crush it today. But the truth is that this Nick being here isn't the actual value of this room. The value is the relationships, the networking. And when we're done here, if you go home without introducing yourself to 3 people, learning about what they do, exchanging information, I'm telling you, you're robbing yourself of the true value of this room. So that's who we are. That's what Pints and Property is. And we're super stoked to have you. A little bit about me. My name is Tim Garul. This is my social media handle. If anybody you guys are interested in following along with my journey, I post all my real estate stuff, things I'm learning. I host a podcast. But simply put, I'm just a real estate investor just like you guys who's failing forward, learning, and providing that information to you. So this was a passion of mine. I wanted to create a group that had youthful, synergetic energy that wasn't kind of old and stuffy. And I think we're really... Let me just say, okay, let me switch that up. I think that many of us in this room are in other real estate meetups, and they are all great. Every single one of them has value. I wanted to create a meetup that had no barrier to entry, that anybody wanting to walk off the street from doing no deals to owning, multi-million commercial assets could feel at home and comfortable in this room. I didn't want any barriers to entry. And so we set out to create that with Tacoma Pints and Properties. Me personally, I can tell you a little bit about my portfolio later, and feel free to ask questions when we're mixing and mingling. But I have a mix of some small multifamily, some single family residential, one little commercial property in Tacoma. And it's just been an evolution of failing forward and learning. And I'm happy to share anything that I've learned along the way. So I'm also a mortgage advisor, and I also deal with some private money and private lending. So that's who I am. This is a picture of me. I'm a veteran. I used to be in the military. This is way back. I think this is 2010 probably, huh, Hugh? Actually, that is actually true, but Hugh's not here every week, so I didn't know if I could have permit. Cool. He's still a cool guy, so I'd have to black his eyes out in the picture. But yeah, this is my Instagram if anybody wants to follow along. And I also have a podcast called the Dynamis Podcast, and it's a super cool show. I take millionaire real estate investors and entrepreneurs and business owners. I put them into a small room, and I interview them. I ask them about their numbers, their business, what's going well, what's working, what's not working. And I just share that journey on this show. So if you're interested in the Dynamis Podcast, this is it right here. Anyways, without further ado. Nick, I'm going to hand it over to Nick Moore, and he's going to get into it. Thanks, guys.
Everybody, I'm Nick. I'm the director of land consulting for Terry Wise and Associates out in Tacoma. I'm also the town planner of Eatonville. That's kind of my day job. So yeah, I've got a background in appraisal, urban planning, real estate development, building. And today my presentation is called Hidden Gems and Red Flags. And the hidden gems that I'm going to be talking about, you can go to the next page, are basically exempt subdivisions or exemptions to the subdivision code, which are lot segregations, testamentary divisions, and boundary line adjustments. BLAs are probably what a lot of you understand pretty well. Lot segregation and testamentary divisions are a little bit more discrete. They're not as well known. I don't want to be like too classroom about this, but do any of you guys know what these two encapsulate? Yeah?
So lot segregations, I believe, isn't that where it was platted previously and then it was joined?
You got it. You got it.
And the testamentary is if I pass it on to my kids and I'll give one, each of them get half.
Yep. So it goes. So the number of heirs basically is what you can divide it by, and I think the deadline is 1990. I'll go into it.
For the purpose of
Yeah.
the recording, can you just run real quick what's lot segregation?
So they'll be on the slides. Yeah. So I just wanted to give a little table of contents. I also want to go into some research tools. As a land use planner, I'm really reliant on GIS, recorded document searches, and then PALS Plus. Those of you who've done renovations or building permits or anything, like this is an incredible resource. And a lot of listing agents or buyers don't really understand how to use it and don't really know what they're getting themselves into when there's a lot of evidence. If you just look at the historical documentation of what's on PALS Plus. So if you want to go to the next one. So we're going into lot segregations. The page is cut off.
Okay, so hang on. Let me amend that. You are amended. Why that? Oh, to amend. This is very difficult to do on the TV.
So Jeff, like you said, perfect. Lot segregations are at when a city or county was originally platted. They have all these old lots that were made and they were consolidated for tax purposes. Because back in the day, you would have to write your tax property checks individually so that, they said, let's consolidate these, turn it into one parcel, and we have a one property tax check. And so that's when we end up with these lines right here. These are original lots that were platted back in God knows when. This is 7561 31st Avenue West, and this is why I call it Hidden Gems. This was an incredibly successful project because originally this is a house. I don't have pictures or anything like that. Just imagine that it's a older 1970s University Place house, about 1700 square feet. A lot of original stuff, financeable, but a lot of original stuff. And this boundary right here was all one parcel at one point. Imagine this right here was dotted. The listing agents had no idea that they had a 10,000 square foot buildable lot underlying, and with the lot segregation, it takes 2 weeks. No improvements, no subdivision code. You subvert everything. So my clients bought this for $579, the house. I helped them complete the lot segregation in 2 weeks. We had the lot sold for $300K before it even closed.
How do you know that you can segregate the lots? It basically.
So these dotted lines basically means that these are they are legal lots. They were just consolidated for one way or another. Maybe it was tax purposes. Maybe it was.
So I did the exact same thing in 2017. I had 7 lots. My home was built on 3, and then 4 more parcels. I didn't know it was mine until the county sent me a letter that the home is in foreclosure for big taxes on the portion that's next to mine.
Okay.
So I went in and I consolidated. So now can I tear it apart and sell it?
So if you consolidate lots, then the underlying lots are gone. That's the caveat. So a lot of people do lot consolidations, and they don't understand that they have legal lots underlying on their property, and then boom, they lose out on a lot of potential profit in subdivision, right? Yeah, most likely. But yeah, so sellers didn't understand that there was $300K right under their feet, and we swooped in, bought the house, remodeled it, sold it for basically what we bought it for, and got an extra $300K out of it. And if you just look around, they're everywhere. There's underlying lots in Eatonville, where I kind of run the show. They're everywhere. When people come in, I can't say, hey, there's underlying lots over here, you should invest. I got to be a public servant. But
I get a couple beers and you have to
I know, right? Yeah.
So is that separate lot that is saying have a separate parcel number?
No, it did not have a separate parcel. Well, it did not have a separate parcel number.
So when you guys pulled that one,
It got its own separate parcel number when we went to cartography at Pierce County, and we segged it, and then it got its own.
but right now it's showing a hard line. How you mentioned the dotted line. How would you know on just from the?
I'll show you. This is where 610 Champion Street comes in. So, Tim, if you can go on your browser, just plus it.
Right.
Yep. Type in Pierce County Public GIS.
Yeah.
Yep, and search it. And then click right here. You can just press OK.
All right.
Oh, you can't see it, can you? And then go up to search. There you go. And then type in 610 Champion Street. Yep, right there. Okay. So this is a lot in Stillicum that has an underlying lot, much like in University Place. Go to parcel. Right here.
Carrot.
Yeah, click the carrot. Click that. Yep. And then scroll down. Scroll down. Tax parcels boundary. Ta-da. There you go. So when you click the tax parcel boundary, it'll show you all the underlying lots, and you can see they're everywhere. Yep.
Would there be an issue with, like, for example, for that one, with it being with
Setbacks. So I pulled this up because this is one that I tried to finagle a couple months ago. I went to the planner in Stillicum, and I said, okay, what if I do this? What if I do the lot seg, and then I do a boundary line adjustment, and we get the setbacks that we need, but then we missed the minimum lot size by like a couple hundred square feet, and they wouldn't budge. But I've been successful with that on a couple other properties, where if you just kind of try to work with people, and what's funny is the planner of Stillicum is one of my best friends too, and he still wouldn't budge.
They shouldn't make a duplex.
Hypothetically, yes, because it's in Stillicum too. So if you were to say we were able to segregate this, right? We're in Stillicum, middle housing, and all the comp plan amendments just came through. You could do a duplex, or you could do 2 ADUs, or you could do whatever you want. Yep. And I will say that you can do a unit lot subdivision here now. They just passed their, and so I'm looking at this property. No, a unit lot subdivision, which is better. You can sell it fee simple. So it's like a condo, and that could be another class. But yeah, ULS, this could be another class. But I just want to demonstrate, like, this is kind of what happened before my University Place property. This is kind of what it looked like before we segregated it. And I just search through the MLS, search through like I'll teach you guys how to kind of navigate the GIS a little more later, but keep searching and searching, and things pop up like this. That's why I like to call them hidden gems, and you just never know how much potential are in these properties. It's really cool.
The cost to
for a segregation, it's basically free.
wow.
It's like a $40 filing fee, and that's it. Yep. Dina Ray. Her name's Dina Ray. You go to cartography at Pierce County, and she will execute the segregation as long as it meets the underlying conditions of a legal lot, which are minimum lot size and setbacks from pertinent structures. Minimum lot size is it depends on zoning, and so yeah, so say it's R1 or whatever, and the minimum lot size is 6,500 square feet. If you subdivide a lot, or you subdivide a piece of land, then the lots that you create out of that piece of land cannot be any less than 6,500 square feet. Yeah. And
Could you potentially still do that, hold on to it, and just change something up, change once it's there?
Absolutely. You don't have to have any plans for it. You can just do it.
Buy this one, lock set, line adjustment, like you said, and just kind of.
Because of the setbacks, the line is right there, and so the setbacks is what really killed us. And he wouldn't give me a setback variance. He said he'll give me 2 feet, but I need I think it's an 8-foot setback from this house. He wouldn't give me 5 feet. So, yeah. But I've seen a lot. I do this every day. I just kind of search around the MLS. I'll just hit my home spotter or whatever, just click on stuff, and then go back to the GIS and see where the lot lines are.
Incorporate rights on both sides of the property, so allow it away and then use it.
So, I mean, that's when you kind of get into unit lot subdivisions, and that's what a lot of these incorporated cities are doing, like Stillicum or like Tacoma with Home in Tacoma. They're all doing unit lot subdivisions, which basically incorporate easement rights, shared access, shared facilities, and things like that make it so you can have smaller fee simple lots on a larger parent lot. So, yeah. Any more questions on lot segregation?
Yeah, you need a lot for you.
Well, the next one is a little bit more complicated, unfortunately. So if you want to go back to the slides, Tim.
Yeah.
And we'll go to testamentary exemptions. So Jeff, once again, you're a rock star, man. Basically, when you have heirs of an estate and they pass it down, and there's a piece of land that was owned, I believe it's before 1990, then you can be exempt of the subdivision code, which means you don't have to go through a subdivision, like a short plat or a plat process. You don't have to do improvements. You don't have to do all the things that go into, preliminary plat, final plat, and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that go into it. You can just divide it. You just divide the land amongst the heirs, as long as, once again, it meets minimum lot size, setbacks, things like that. And these are this is another one of those things where you never know, right? the thing about these testamentary divisions and also with lot segregations is that there's not a lot of legal precedent because they don't happen very often because people don't know about them. We don't know. Technically, you should be able to divide property to whatever your will is, but municipalities and jurisdictions have said, no, you have to fall within these specific criteria. And that's the same with lot segregations too. State law doesn't say that you have to meet minimum lot size or setbacks or anything like that, but nobody has been bold enough to take it to court yet. So if any of you guys want to try that, it would help all of us out. So a testamentary division is much like a lot seg, except you have to you just have to get a survey. Whereas with a lot seg, you don't have to do a survey. They just get it. They already have the information. It's kind of like a boundary line adjustment, which we'll talk about next, where you get it surveyed, you set the boundary lines, you get new legal descriptions, you have everything on a recorded document, and then boom, you got it. You don't have to do improvements, sidewalk, curb, gutter. You don't have to do any of that as long as it meets the jurisdiction's requirements. Like I said, even though the state doesn't say you have to do that, municipalities say you have to do it. And so that's a testamentary division. And then I have a little example of a project that I've been a part of that we're doing that in Eatonville, off of Eatonville Highway. And Tim can send this over and you guys can kind of check it out. But it's basically, any of you guys do flips? Yeah, I'm sure many of you do. Lot segs are great. Like I said, for the flips, you flip the house and then you sell off another lot for $300,000. This one's even better. They bought an old farmhouse that's in the front of the property, and in the back of the property is like actually a nice single family house, but it's outdated. It's 1990s, right? So they're flipping this house and they're flipping the back house, and from the testamentary division of 4 heirs, they are getting 2 5-acre lots out of it. It's 20 acres. So 5 acres for the front house that they're flipping, 5 acres for the back house they're flipping, and then 2 5-acre lots in Eatonville that they're going to sell off. Yep.
And then, Nick, isn't that also where maybe in that area it's a 10-acre minimum, but they broke them down to 5, correct?
So in this area, it's actually in UGA. It's in UGA. So they meet minimum lot size requirements. In a rural area, they would still be able to do it, only because then you could go back to, well, we didn't have zoning in 1990. But you have to make sure that there's no encroachments, and you have to go to maximum lot sizes for each lot. So
That's right. It was Enumclaw is the area we were looking at, and out there they have a lot of 10 and 28 parcels, and there's one that was split.
Yep. Like in a large lot subdivision. Yep.
Even though it was a 10-acre area, we split. So they didn't have to meet that, and I don't understand why.
So I can't speak for King County because Enumclaw is King County, and they may have similar zoning to Pierce County, but in Pierce County, we have what are called bonus densities. And so you can go double the density of the R10. So you can go 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres if you do what they call large lot subdivision, or if you keep a certain amount of the parcel in open space. So you can double the density and go down to 5 acres if you keep open space, or you do a large lot subdivision, which is subject to a few other requirements.
We can do this state time, we don't have to be together, or once a time.
So that's also kind of up in the air too. It can be part of it. It can be part of estate planning, and actually, it's funny you brought that up because the guy who died on this property, he did a testamentary division back in the early 2000s, and title would not insure it because they didn't think, lawyers got involved and they didn't think that it would be upheld. And so we're now having to go through another testamentary division because back then there were 5 heirs and there's only 4 now. And they would have had 5 parcels. Yeah, the original one had 5 and now it's 4. Yeah.
Each heir, they can only separate one.
So yeah, the amount of heirs is how many pieces you can separate it into. Yeah.
Is it only the heirs that get to separate it, or is this? And so
The heirs have to agree to it. Yeah.
triggered
on death or triggered upon will, however the law decides.
like yes.
You can probably say, okay, well, when I die, this happens. But
It excludes the density. So like in rural separator, for example,
that
you can do like 1.5 structures per, whatever. It's 2.5 acres, like where I am. With my heirs, if I have 4 heirs, even though I'm only allowed to put 1 structure for 2.5 acres, when I die, the testamentaries could go down to 4.
the reason I say legal precedent still not fully established is because state law, like lot segregation, say that you do have legal lots divided between your heirs. And municipalities and jurisdictions like Pierce County are saying, no, you can't subvert our municipal code. You have to meet minimum lot size and things like that. And so what's happening now is that they're kind of meeting in the middle and there's no actual code to back it up. It's just basically a negotiation so this doesn't go to court. Yes, absolutely. And not a lot of case law. Exactly. Yeah. Next.
Yeah.
For 26 for those.
Okay, go back. So if you look at, I added the Pierce County Code that talks about testamentary divisions right here. Like I said, we can send this to everybody.
Can I just make a short one, dude? Because you're never gonna say it. At the end of this all, this is literally what you do for a living. He does land use consulting for a living, and he's a freaking rock star. So if anybody needs help with their project, and I'm only saying this because he will never say it, and he's such a good dude, call Nick.
Okay.
He'll help you. Call your plan.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'm gonna cry, Tim. Let's go to boundary line adjustments. That's messed up. I don't know what's going on with that. Everybody knows and lot combos. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, click it. Why not?
I don't know if it's gonna let me.
Most people are like, hey, if I have a dispute with my neighbor and my fence got put too far over this way, let's do a boundary line adjustment and figure it out. Or, I want this piece of land for my neighbor, so we'll do a boundary line adjustment and get that figured out. But BLAs are also exempt from the subdivision code. So there's a lot of interesting creative ways to use boundary line adjustments, especially if you own or have a conglomeration of people with many parcels. And so I want to give you an example of basically a subdivision that we're doing with a boundary line adjustment of 18 parcels. We only want one parcel to be subdivided, but it's important that we have all of them included. So go back to the slide, Tim. So type in 3080 W State Route 108.
30. You guys remember that? It's your job. I'm gonna type in. You guys remember?
So yeah, Mason County. Yep. Yep, right there.
30
W State Route 108, and it should pop up. There it is. Yep, zoom out.
Is this something you're working on currently right now?
Yeah.
What's the plan for it?
Yeah.
I was hesitant about using it at all. Is this touchscreen?
Yeah. No, my computer's not touchscreen, but
Okay, go back in. Okay, that should be okay, a little bit more out. Okay, actually go back in.
let's try the mouse.
Oh yeah. There you go. Okay, I got it.
I might have to push control for you. Yes.
Oh, this is perfect. Aha. Okay. So we have all of these parcels, this parcel, these parcels, this parcel, and this parcel. And this parcel right here. This tiny. I'm going to go to just so you guys can see what it looks like. Okay. All right. As you can see, there's kind of a creek that runs this way right here. And then it has a drainage path down this way, and it's in one parcel, right? This parcel, I think, is 38 acres. It's big. Anyway, he has a primary residence right here. He has an ADU right here, and he wants to build a house right here. He owns, like I said, all of these parcels. So if we were to survey every single one of these parcels, and yeah, it'll be expensive. It'll probably be a $20,000, $30,000 survey, right? Maybe more. However, it's cheaper than doing a subdivision. It's cheaper than doing a short plat. So what we can do is we can say which parcels here are not useful to us. You can see that there's this, and I could pull up the layer, but there's like this creek, and you have the creek, and there's shoreline areas all across this. A lot of the parcels are completely useless. So what we can do, if we survey all of it, we can take this tiny little parcel that nobody's ever going to do with, since we own it. We're going to move this boundary line right here, and it's absorbed by this parcel right here. And then we'll say, hey, we own this too. This is pretty useless. We can absorb that into this parcel because this is an actual boundary line. We'll take this line and put it right here. And all of a sudden we have multiple buildable lots out of just rearranging our parcels from a survey.
So you can borrow that.
Yes, you can borrow a boundary line. Subdivision code says as long as you are not creating new lots, as long as you are not adding lots. So as long as you get it all together and you kind of move things around the way you need to and get creative. I mean, we've done other things like in Gig Harbor where there are tiny, like, we don't know how it was privately created, but tiny strips of land. And there's big parcels where it was like a beach house in the front, right? And then there's a bunch of land, like an estate type situation. We've taken these tiny slivers of road and moved the lines onto the big parcel and created, we already have a big parcel in the front with beach property. And now we just made a property with beach access that's worth $500,000. It's like, Just got to be creative, think outside of the box.
Pour down the floor.
Or that. But yeah, that's obviously you can use boundary line adjustments for all your normal stuff too. So, but you can do kind of interesting stuff with them.
So you're gonna take a little boundary up here and move it to the 38-acre.
Yeah, as long as you're not creating new parcels, as long as you're not making more. If you have the same amount of parcels that you started with, it doesn't matter. You can move boundary lines, and as long as the new lots that you take the boundaries from still meet code, that's another thing. As long as they still meet code, and as long as the line that you take from here and you put it here, this new lot meets code, you're good.
So you're talking to incorporate that to be able to build because of the service for the zoning, like say that's like hard.
It's R10. Yeah. So
Another house, you want to pull that one over so it's on a separate parcel, so it's now just
so now you can have another primary right next door.
if it's R30 and it's 60 acres, could be that much primary or around.
Well, if it was R30, you're talking you need 30 acres for one house, so it wouldn't work. Right.
It's or say that R50.
Well, you'd have to find another boundary to kind of move over. But
If that one, okay,
so if it's R5, that you can make a smaller piece of land, but you couldn't make two more parcels because you can't have more parcels than you started with.
yes, but you could still have structures or primaries or ADUs or any other structure as long as it meets the minimum
Yes.
size.
Yeah.
Square structure.
Yeah.
So then who gets the whole area with the house for the lot lines?
If you own it, so he owns this, right? Doesn't matter. He owns this parcel, so he's just moving the line. He's moving the line that he owns. Yeah. He's moving the line that he already owns to a property that he already owns. And it only works if you own it or if you have permission from the neighbor. Yeah. As long as all the lot sizes line up. And a lot of jurisdictions with planners and engineers and people that are not that advanced, they might push back on you and say this doesn't make any sense. And then you get into some battles. I like that one that I was talking about in Gig Harbor. I had to go all the way up the chain to the director of planning at Pierce County to get it to work. But when you get into the RCW, which is the state law, there's nothing that they can really argue with, and there's nothing in their own municipal code that argues against it. Then they can't really argue with it unless they want to take you to court, or unless you want to take them to court. But normally, as a public servant myself, everybody is usually pretty cool. Nobody's really out to get you at the municipal level. When it comes political at the state level and regional level, it gets a little weird, and I'll be talking to Tim about that tomorrow. But yeah. Okay. I think that's good. I think that's probably good. Yeah, I was gonna go into GIS and okay, are you sure? Okay.
You want to show the lot next to mine?
Yeah, I want to do that. Yeah.
Or you want me to go to another slide?
Go to another slide. Go to another slide, and then scroll over a couple of times.
I'm definitely see what you do.
House plus.
One house per acre, but what's that is Harrison.
No, keep it here. So this is where when I have a piece of land that whether it's raw land or it's land with a few acres or something like that, and like if there's a listing, for example, and it says, oh, we have a single family home permitted and we have the wetland done and all that stuff, I go straight to PALS Plus, which is Pierce County's online permitting system, shows you everything. So you can dig into it and see whether this listing agent is BSing you or not. And I have an example of that in Pierce County. So if you copy this right here.
See if it'll let me.
Honestly, we probably don't even need to. I'll just give you the story. Actually, no. I want to show. I want to show how the permitting system works. Yeah. So go to. Did you see the link there, Tim? Go up, right here.
So I will then.
Yes. If you say no, then it's a nightmare. Okay. Go to permit search. Okay. I'm teaching you guys how to do this right now. Okay. So if you go to permit search, and then you can do the tax parcel, you can do the site address, but in this case, I just so happen to have the permit number, which is great. And then you type in search. Okay. So this property just so happens to be Tim's neighbor. And it's currently listed. So I don't want to say anything to dissuade anybody from buying it or anything like that. But the information
this way. I share a fence line with you. I want it more bad than anybody in this room. And I haven't bought it. And I haven't bought it because Nick has been helping me with the feasibility study on it.
So the reason I told him not to buy it at the price that it's set at the moment is because the original listing said wetland delineation complete, variance complete, approved building plans.
Do you want to see how they did it?
Is it still the same?
It's exact.
Okay, well, no, I don't want to discredit anybody that's. Yeah. Basically, I was like, oh, that looks great. You know, that price point is probably good if all this stuff is
5 acres.
Is finalized. So I went on to the PALS Plus, and basically you can search all the reviews, you can look at all the documents that have been turned in, all of that. So I dug into that. Turns out the wetland variance was done in 2019 or completed in 2019. And that immediately told me a red flag, because in Pierce County, wetland delineations or variances or whatever, they only last 3 years. So no, they do not have an approved wetland variance. Also, what a lot of people don't understand with variances is that they're project specific. So this variance was done for the specific projects that the property owner wanted to complete. So you can't go in thinking that you have this vacant piece of land and have this, building plan in mind. You can't use that variance that was done. You have to do a new variance. So anybody that goes back in has to do a new variance, one, because it's expired, and two, because it's project specific. And at the same time, the building permit also expired. They never paid for it. They don't have an approved building plan. It was never approved by site development because they needed to get a stormwater management plan for the road that approached the property. Building approved it, but site development never approved it. So the building permit itself was not approved. So there's a lot of factors that went into it. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying, is that the road was never permitted, so they don't have site development. And therefore, you can't actually get a building permit if site development doesn't approve it. So
And the wetland delineation.
expired. Yeah.
And it's like, it's 100-foot set.
And if you go to the GIS, where here, I'll scroll and I'll tell you what to type.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a little GIS lesson too. Type in the address, Tim. You could just type in your own address.
Listen, there's a lot of something at my house. It's not a place to mess around.
So here it is. So you have all these, you have this layers tab, that I kind of showed you earlier. But if you go to environmental and you just go down and click on wetlands, there you go. So this wetland right here, it looks like it's delineated, right? This is the wetland that was created via a mitigation plan that was specifically for the single family home that they applied for, and that was part of the variance. So whoever on the GIS team at Pierce County took that and superimposed it on the GIS. And so what you're seeing right here is actually the boundaries of that wetland variance and not the actual wetland review that you're going to have to go through. And so people see this and say, oh, we can maybe sneak a house in here. Also, this teal right here, this means you have to go through wetland review anyway. So there's a lot of weirdness going on. So if you look at this, this is the mitigated, which means they reduced the setbacks by, I think, 100 feet or something like that, or 75, like a lot. If you were to extend into the actual wetland, it would encompass almost the entire property. And so I guess the moral of the story is I figure all this out on Pals Plus just by digging through all the documents and reading everything. And as a real estate agent or an investor or whatever, I encourage you to do the same thing. I told it to Tim, and maybe Tim said something.
I tell every single person that pulls up to buy that crap. I'm like, hey, I tell you.
There's an easement. No, it's right here.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a big flag lot.
But it's completely through the plant.
And so that's what the original, there's a road that already is built, and there's a mitigation plan. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with it. It's a nightmare. It's a development nightmare.
But the two shades it feel like one.
So this is potential wetlands. This is delineated wetland. And then if you go, actually, delineated means that it's gone through the county, and with either if you hire a biologist and they do a report, they send it to the county and the county approves it, and then the county will tell their GIS people and superimpose it onto the map. Yeah.
March after the rain.
Yeah. Yes, delineations only last 3 years.
Those are the wetlands real straight.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's when. So they're correct by adding the teal, like this light teal, right? This light. I don't know what. I'm colorblind. This color, yeah, that's potential wetlands. Seafoam, yeah, seafoam green. And then this is a delineation that was done 5 years ago, but they never removed it from their system. So it really should just be the seafoam green. Yeah.
Well, that's an intense thing because someone else might not be able to access that portion of the lot without going through the wetland. But
yeah, Tim can, but in my opinion, what it's priced at, yeah.
I want my kids to go playing.
In my opinion, what it's priced at is not open space. It's not open space price, it's development. price. Yeah.
That's what we ultimately landed on is like the price that's part of it, is that they bought wrong, got in trouble, and now they're trying to get out. And the price point that they're listing at is
So what else? Yeah. Both farm. If the delineation only lasts 3 years and build within those.
You're vested as soon as you submit a permit and it's you have intake. Like as soon as they say you're good, you can pay, or we're reviewing, you're vested.
So
Yeah.
Vested approval, or
You're vested on application.
why not file an application, get it vested, and like if you wanted to sell this reward, like then get it, you don't get it all in.
Well, they did that. They did an application they did a building permit application, but the wetland variance, because the house that they wanted to build was inside of a wetland buffer, it was specific. It was project specific.
So it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And not going to be the same every second bird.
that's the problem. They put a septic in.
Whoa.
They dumped a septic in the field out there.
Really?
Oh yeah. And they brought a power pole. Oh yeah, these people.
And they brought a road in. They brought that.
This is why it's set market.
It's a problem.
Now they bought this in 2018. Then they realized,
Yeah, and now they're trying to recoup their money.
and how it's listed. It's just listed in it's listed in a misleading.
Yep.
Bring a lot of dirt, build all that. Get planted for a year and then do the variation.
They usually let you do that while you're doing the building permit, get everything planted and get all that dialed in.
So along the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? Tim actually suggested that to me. He's like, why can't I just go in and chop everything down and throw some dirt on it? And I was like, I can't advise you to do that.
Like, what's the worst that happens? And they told me,
Then all of a sudden, literally the Department of Ecology is after you, and you can go to jail, actually. Yep.
Is when you go to this.
Exactly. The message is go into the map, and it's you can get a decent idea of what's going on. And the reason I usually just go to the map and just to check it out, and I saw the weird kind of shape of the delineation, and I saw there's a lot of color going on, and I was like, I got to go check out and see if there's any permits on this. And that's when I went down the rabbit hole. Yeah. So it's a step-by-step process.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
House plus equivalent.
Individual municipalities like Renton, Snohomish, not really. They all have their own systems that like Covington, Black Diamond, and Maple Valley, they all have the same one. It's called Citizen Plus or something like that. And it's not nearly as sophisticated as PALS Plus, but you can go in, you can look at permits, see what's going on. And then in King County and a lot of the associated jurisdictions within King County, they have mybuildingpermit.com. But you have to have a login, and you have to, it's more difficult to navigate, and there's not like all the documents available, like just to the everyday person like we would be.
That's what I was thinking. 5 places already. And I need the previous promise for any reason, but I'm just avoid the mistake. And yes,
Is it City of Auburn or unincorporated City of? So City of Auburn definitely has a GIS system. I would go straight to there. I would just type in City of Auburn GIS, and you'll go to a portal and you'll get a map. Play around with it, type in the address, just kind of tinker around. I've been on the City of Auburn GIS, but it's been a long time. But I do know the City of Auburn uses mybuildingpermit.com for all of their permits, and that's how they keep track of things. It's possible that you could create a login and then figure out what the building permit number is from maybe from the city of Auburn or whoever it is, and they'll give you a building permit number, and then you can log in and see what all is going on in there. But it's just not as publicly available as Pierce County has everything.
Awesome. Dude, Nick, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Totally.
I got a quick question. Going back to the lot seg.
Yeah.
Lot seg. So if you if it's on $40 filing fee, why would you not do that, regardless of whether it meets the requirements or not? Because if you sell, you should pay this additional lot, including our additional tax parcel, down the line, if that could be a marketing factor.
It could be.
This is interesting. Lots. I think it's
Yeah, and a lot of people get their lots surveyed before they sell them, and they sell them basically as 2 lots, not really understanding that it's 1 parcel, but 2 lots. Yeah. You may not have the option because of the underlying conditions for segregation. Minimum lot size, setbacks, things like that. I'm saying that, well, what I said was state law is not clear about whether or not lot segregations need to meet minimum lot size and setbacks and things like that. But municipalities have imposed their own rules around lot segregations, and it's going to take a court case to solve that. And that precedent just does not exist yet.
So from your experience then, have you seen it where someone is doing lot segs, even though these second lots are being or some will be created, but that are there? Have you seen them being denied or not approved because?
Yeah, well, like over there on 610 Champion Street that I instilled.
That was because of the setback. That was because of minimum lot size.
So you need to meet minimum lot size, but if I met minimum lot size, I wouldn't meet the setback, and if I met the setback, then I wouldn't meet minimum lot size. So it was a catch-22.
Was that the minimum lot size though to build, or a minimum lot size to
a minimum lot size to have a legal lot, and no title company is going to insure a not legal lot.
Okay, because sometimes you're seeing, like you said, in Gig Harbor, there's these long, skinny little lots. Right, I see them all the time. It's like you can't really build on it, but it's there.
It's there. So the caveat is that if you have these long, skinny lots that are useless, then you can say, I'm making this useless lot usable by doing this lot segregation and a boundary line. Reasonable use, usually reasonable use has to do with critical areas, but yes, but yeah, reasonable use could fall under that. Abnormal shape, unbuildable, yeah, exactly. Yep. No, that's reasonable use. Usually it's critical areas, but odd size or odd shape, weird size, then reasonable use would fall under that category too.
So when you say odd size, you're talking about it being like too small?
Too small, too weird. Yeah, that's a weird lot.
Yeah. I don't know how to say. Yeah, but the way that it's so.
But it's just like
that would fall under the reasonable use category. Have you tried to build anything on it yet? Yeah, you're trying.
we're trying to get reasonable.
Okay.
So they could just deny your lot seg then just on the sole fact that as of the current zoning right now, this square footage, this lot does not meet this requirement.
Yes.
Okay.
They can.
Okay.
They can.
That answers like all the other questions I have.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
I don't do that in Eatonville. I'm the town planner of Eatonville. I understand state law. I understand what a lot segregation is, and I have my limitations, but I'm pretty lenient with them. But yeah. All right, Tim, that's it, man.
Listen, guys.
Okay. One more.
One more. Pass this back so we can hear it on the video later.
On that reasonable use, right? If there's critical area, slopes, wetlands, this and that, does that still fall under jurisdictions of a city, municipality area? And okay, so I heard this thing long time ago that any parcel, I mean reasonable parcel, even if it falls under category of wetland or critical slope, still needs to be allowed.
You're right.
For the reasonable use of a house.
You're right. Yep.
So it's like I always drove by those. I don't know if you're familiar with Rainier and Washington Lake, and there's these steep slope slots. They're like $15,000 for 15,000 square feet lots, but they're vertical.
I know exactly what you're saying. Whether it's wetlands, steep slopes, doesn't matter. You're right. You have to be able to let people build on legal lots, but doesn't mean that the jurisdiction can't put you through hell to get you there. Meaning really comprehensive wetland studies, wetland mitigation plans, or in the terms of steep slopes, requiring really robust engineering to get there. Civil and structural engineering in order to, maintain the integrity of the slope, multiple geotech reports throughout the project, whatever it might be. Yes, it is. That is true.
Unless it's not.
And then, but there's an option where if a city or county or whoever it might be, if they think this parcel really should, then they have to buy it from you. The municipality has to buy it from you by reasonable use law.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Nick. This was awesome. Awesome presentation. So two quick things. We're going to move into the most powerful portion of the night, which is networking. I encourage you to stick around, network, collaborate, exchange phone numbers, ideas. But before we do that, two things. One, thank you guys so much for coming. It means so much. Every time I feel like these rooms are just getting better and better and better. And I would encourage you to please keep coming, because it takes the group to collaborate, to really bring value, bring friends. If we have to go find another room, we'll find it. But I mean, there's obviously incredible value in here. So thank you guys for coming.